So again, welcome to the advisor sessions. We are excited to be with all of you over the next, we're gonna be doing this for the next 5 months, and then we'll have more coming in January. So today's session, we're gonna focus on chapter engagement and getting set for 5-star chapter success. And before we really get started, I'd like to introduce you to our Vice President of Student Engagement, who has a few words for us, Dr. Blake Ellis.
Hey everyone, welcome. It's so good to see all of your smiling faces. As always with Zoom and technology, things can be unpredictable. So if at any time you are struggling to hear me or there is a kind of catch, don't hesitate to pop in the chat and let me know that. But it is, and of course I always say, please keep yourself muted if possible, because that makes it a little easier. It's wonderful to see all of y'all on here today. For my money, PTK advisors are the student success champions and the most dedicated student success professionals that you could ever meet or work with. I have to begin just by letting you know that, like many of you, my career with PTK started not knowing what PTK was at all. I was a newly minted history PhD, and I just got my first job at a community college. I was very committed to equity, access, and all the things we believe in the community college movement. But I knew, okay, I see somebody says the audio is not clear for me at all. Can anybody else let me know if you're having trouble? Can you put in the chat if you can hear it clearly? Just say yes or no. Okay, good. That sounds great. I think it may be a problem on your end, but if it gets bad on our end, we'll let you know. Thank you all for everybody doing that. I don't want to be paranoid, because we all have different Zoom issues, but glad that y'all can hear. Okay, so I had just started my new job. I was really excited and, okay, let me learn my classes. Let me make sure that I can, actually do this history professor thing. And I hadn't really been on campus probably 24 hours when I had a meeting thrown on my calendar to meet with the president, and she voluntold me, as happened to many of you, you are going to be the PTK advisor. For probably the first couple of months, I was calling it the wrong name. I think I was calling it maybe some fraternity that I had been involved with at some point. Like, I thought I was giving the impression we were just partying, but I, in a little bit of time, quickly realized that this intersection between opportunity students and high achieving students is Phi Theta Kappa. And I want to state that so clearly, that we represent in so many ways the future of higher education, because half of all bachelor's degrees have some community college credit. But when you talk about transfer and workforce pathways that get students to the goals that they have set, Phi Theta Kappa, working with lots of partners, 1,300 community colleges, including yours, over 1,000 university partners, we are a very big part of these student success discussions and the community college movement. And so to be a part of that as a PTK advisor is a very exciting thing. So I start just by saying thank you for your service, because to be a PTK advisor, in so many ways, maybe you get possibly a course release, maybe you get some support on campus for travel and financial budgets, maybe you get free t-shirts, maybe you get a small stipend. But I think we all know that at the end of the day, you put in more hours as a PTK advisor than really we could ever compensate, or anybody could compensate for. You're doing this because you care. You're doing this because you know that every year you collect at least 1 or 2 and maybe more success stories about students whose life was completely changed because they became a member of this 102, I guess now 103-year-old organization. I always encourage folks, if you can, on the website, there's a great video that we showed at our centennial that gives you and of course I'm a history PhD, so for the math and STEM people, just ignore me. But there is this great history video, and when you watch it, it's about our history of PTK. You see that we grew up alongside the community college movement, which really grew up alongside this demand that everyone have access to higher education, the belief that it is not a privilege, but a right for everybody to be able to get on the career path that will allow them to utilize their skills to the best of their ability. And y'all are a part of this history. I will say that being a PTK advisor requires figuring out lots of different stuff because there is no doubt. Thank you, Rob. Oh, my man, Rob, I so appreciate it. I needed that link. Thank you. Shout out to everybody in Tennessee. One of the great things about being a PTK advisor is you're a part of the student success army. And I promise you, you will build, if you're new, which a lot of you are, you will build friendships with your fellow co-advisors. I know Mary Linder is on the call, who is one of my first PTK friends. And then I think at some point transitioned from friend to family member. And really in PTK, you're interacting with people who share your passion for student success and who really believe in undergraduate research and leadership and service, but you get to get as much out of it, I think, as you put into it. And I really want to encourage you to do that. Now, as a PTK advisor, there's a lot going on, right? We have lots of scholarships given by us. We have lots of university partner scholarships given by them. We do undergraduate research. We publish the country's only journal of undergraduate research dedicated to community college students. So we have high-level honors programming. We do college projects that encourage you and teach you how to work with your administration to build influence on campus and to get students those leadership moments that they need on their resume. We do service. We do it all. And at Phi Theta Kappa, you have an entire team of student success professionals here to support you in your journey. And so thank you to Patty Van Adder, who's really advocated and spearheaded and pushed this moment. Thank you to Ryan Martin, another of our chapter engagement specialists, for really working to make sure that this event came together. Because what we're seeing is that as we all kind of imagine what the world looks like in this moment, after everything that we have been through and all the changes that have come to higher ed, we need to be heavily engaged with you, the advisors, not just at Catalyst, not just through our EDGE programs, not just through your touchstones, leadership development, and your regional meetings and all the events. We need to be engaged virtually on a weekly and monthly basis. And so we are here to support you. In addition to our online advisor training, which we'll talk about, Patty and Ryan are here to guide you through every step of being a chapter advisor, because you will have questions. You will say, how do I upload my eligible members? What does an induction ceremony look like? I really want to get involved with Honors in Action or College Project. How can I get my chapter to be a 5-star chapter? They and we are here to help. Before I close, I do just really quickly want to make sure y'all are aware of the other members of the student engagement team, because we're all here. We are in New Jersey, Alabama, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, Arizona. We are all over the map, but we work virtually, and we're all student success professionals, former advisors, folks who have been engaged in this battle for equity for many years. And so we're here to support you, but I want to make sure you know who they are. So you got myself. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need or like pictures of my kids on Instagram and Facebook. Very much appreciated. Thank y'all. You also have Jennifer Stanford, our Associate Vice President for Program Implementation. We have Susan Edwards, our Associate Vice President for Honors Program and Undergraduate Research. We have Dr. Johanna Williams, Associate Vice President for STEM and Workforce. We have Patty and Ryan, your two go-to chapter development and outreach specialists. We have Jason Quick, our regional website developer, who works very closely with regional coordinators to make sure their technical needs are met. We also have Reagan Chastain, who's a curriculum designer and is very much engaged in good course design, working on all of our PTK EDGE programs. I promise you, as you go throughout this session, you will have, in many cases, more questions that you'll pop in the chat, or you'll reach out to Patty, you'll reach out to Ryan, and we're here to help you now and as we work through the semester and for your entire term of service as a PTK advisor. But I will simply close by saying that you are in the right place. Even if you feel like, what is this? I don't know what I'm doing. I got thrown into this role. If you believe that you can make a bigger difference in the world through teaching and learning and student success than in any other field, I promise you, you are in the right place. Give it time, give yourself grace to learn everything that there is to learn. And your involvement with this very proud 103-year-old organization will change your life, just as it has changed the lives of almost 4 million students in our history. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. And as I always say when I close anything, as Patty knows, now go change the world. Thank y'all. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Blake, so much for that. And I'm always inspired when I hear Blake talk, right? And it always settles the nerves, right? So now I'm settled. The nerves are gone and we can keep moving. So today, Blake introduced you to the entire student engagement team, and we are a team, and together, we're working hard to bring you the support that you need. And so today you'll be hearing from Ryan and myself as we introduce you to our guest speakers, and then also talk a little bit about 5-star development at the end of today. And so always feel free, if there's something that you want additional information on, to contact us and we will get right to you. So thank you once again for joining us today for the very first advisor session. We're excited to share this time with you and grateful that you are here and for all that you do as our student success champions. The student engagement team is here to support you by providing resources, discussions, outreach to increase chapter engagement and development. Ryan and I have this goal. When we came on staff in January, we were handed this goal of, we talked about it, and it ended up being 600. So our goal this year is to have 600 5-star chapters. And when I see 110 chapters represented today and know where we landed this year, I think we're going to get there and surpass it. So this is really energizing for us. It is possible. Nothing is impossible. I know there were times this past year, myself included, thought you can't do PTK in this way, where it's impossible. But chapters and advisors like yourself found a way, and we did have a remarkable year in 2020, and I know 2021 is going to be just as good and better. So let's get started doing this together. Today, you're gonna meet Lindsay Spalstat, chapter advisor of the Beta Pi chapter at Metropolitan Community College, and also Angie Goldschmidt. You will hear their story. Together, they were successful in building a strong, engaged chapter in 2020. And what's really remarkable to me, and when I got to meet Lindsay a couple of weeks ago to hear her story, she became an advisor in April 2020 at the very beginning of the pandemic. She's not experienced a face-to-face Phi Theta Kappa experience. So you'll hear more of what her and her team were able to do. She represents 9 campuses. One chapter represents 9 campuses at Metropolitan Community College. And what they were able to do was just absolutely amazing. Lindsay, I'm going to go ahead. Ryan, do you want to do the bio, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, that's totally fine. So, hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Sorry if I go in and out. We're in monsoon season right now, so it's pouring cats and dogs outside right now. So I apologize if I go in and out. So Lindsay Spalstat graduated from the University of Nebraska at Omaha with a Bachelor of General Studies. She has served at the local community college for a combined 5 years in community engagement. And she acted as the AmeriCorps program director for 2 years, placing work study students in local nonprofits. But most recently, she stepped in as the lead advisor for Beta Pi Beta in April of 2020. Lindsay has a passion for program management, community engagement, and student development. Am I doing Angie's too? Okay, and then we have Angie Fitzgerald, who is the chapter president of Beta Phi Beta. She served as the chapter's vice president of service, and then now the chapter president over the last year. She was nominated to the All Nebraska Academic Team and received an honorable mention for PTK's Distinguished Chapter Officer Award in 2020. Angie has since transferred to the University of Nebraska at Omaha to complete her bachelor's in criminal justice. From there, she plans to attend law school. So please join Patty and I in welcoming both Lindsay and Angie today.
You always got to unmute when you start your presentations. Thank you, Patty and Ryan, for that introduction. Blake, disclaimer, my notes and slides were all made before I heard you speak today, so I am not repeating you on purpose. But I want to just say it is an honor to be speaking with all of you today. Being a PTK advisor this past year has been one of the most humbling yet rewarding experiences of my life. Being surrounded by so many world changers, and he said that, go change the world. I too believe that each one of you is a world changer. Being surrounded by you in a Zoom, it'd be so much better in person in a room, is just one of those humbling experiences. You registered for today's session with the hopes of learning something new and applicable when it comes to chapter engagement, or for the bling giveaway. Whatever your motive, I'm here to share my story of how COVID changed the way we looked at chapter engagement forever. All right, technology. So as Patty said, I'm Lindsay Spastat. I'm a proud PTK advisor. Angie Fitzgerald is also on the call. What Angie's bio did not share about her is that she played a pivotal role in creating sustainable and shareable forms. So if anybody wants a form, we can share what we have created, what she created, and documents that will benefit our chapter for years to come. We couldn't have done anything without her excitement and love for people and her sheer brilliance. As you look at this slide, I want you to understand that there is a reason I did not title this Best Practices in Chapter Engagement. I do use my hands a lot, so maybe you'll see that. I don't know what's on the screen, but COVID made it evident that we will be continually learning new practices as we adapt to the ever-changing world around us moving forward. So today, I'm going to talk about pandemic practices my team learned in the pandemic. So clever, right? I'm going to start by painting a picture for you of the challenges our college was facing going into the pandemic. Then I'll spend more time focusing on the changes we made that we believe improved overall engagement. Then I'll talk about the broader connections we were able to create as a result of this new environment. And ultimately, how all of that ties into the successful completion of our PTK projects and how we became a 5-star chapter when all felt lost. On each slide, you will notice a line with the words above it is what I'm going to spend time talking about. The words below are resources, websites, tools, things that our chapter found to be helpful in our development of programming. I do have a slide at the end of this presentation. This presentation will be sent out and shared with you tomorrow, where all of that will be referenced again in one spot. So just keep that in mind. Now, when you go back to April of 2020, I'm sure you can feel the same feelings that I felt of fear, desperation. I was part-time. Are they going to lay me off? What is going to happen to our students? How are we going to engage? And all those things, right? Hope felt lost. Now, here we are, August of 2021, and I want to tell you, I see nothing but hope. And this is why. So to paint a picture for you, when the quarantine started, like I said, I was a part-time temp. I was serving as a community engagement specialist as a community engagement specialist, my focus was service learning, volunteering, creating those relationships with the community. I had shared a small building with the lead advisor at the time, but knew very little about PTK, similar to Blake. PTK, and probably a lot of you, PTK at our college had a negative reputation and lacked stability more than ever going into quarantine. One advisor had passed away. One advisor had to leave for personal reasons. One was ready to quit because she felt unequipped and felt she lacked purpose even after a year of involvement, which I'm sure a lot of you have felt over this last year, feeling that feeling of being unequipped and just lacking purpose. And unbeknownst to me and my partner in crime, what I like to call her, the lead advisor would be transitioning to a different role in the college that fall. We couldn't control any of this on top of COVID and the craziness and chaos that ensued from that. So in April, I wasn't even an advisor yet. This is the part where it kind of gets tricky. My fellow coworker, Taylor, and I offered to help with programming because we love programming so much. So we offered simply with the hopes of providing some stability, even though we were not advisors. Our goal was to find a way to make PTK programming at our college sustainable, manageable, and mostly worthwhile. Like I said, that lead advisor transitioned out, and by August, our administration had asked my coworker and I to step in as the lead advisors. Taylor was off to law school and could only help behind the scenes. So I became the face of PTK advisors at our college. That's scary. At this time though, we reconnected with the advisor that wanted to quit and asked her to stay on and learn with us. And we recruited a faculty member to round out our advising team. All four of us were new in August and we didn't have an executive team, but all of us were willing to work together to try new things. And keep in mind, this is August, and by January, we were a 5-star chapter. So I want you to see how, like in my head, how crazy it was. And yet, if you break it down, it's possible. So when Taylor and I started programming, and Blake mentioned this, we dove into the PTK website and found the 5-star advisor training. If you have not done this training, I would highly recommend it. At the time, the training was very heavy with face-to-face programming. So we had to continually ask each other, how can this be done virtually? As we did this training, we realized that our quarter system, unlike a lot of colleges and the training focused on semesters, we were a quarter system. So 11-week quarters, 11 weeks, every 11 weeks, a new group of students was eligible. And like Patty said, we have 9 locations, which has always been a hindrance when it's come to bringing people together all over our city and the surrounding areas. And then I just put the little virtual one in the end because we all had to overcome that, right? That was a challenge for all of us. Now, with these challenges, we were still able to make a ton of positive changes. This part of the presentation, I'm probably going to spend a little more time on because I do believe that these changes were the reason why we became a 5-star chapter. So bear with me. But as we approached our programming, we didn't just look at virtual. We considered what it would look like, yes, virtually, but also hybrid and hopefully face-to-face sooner than later, right? We wanted to believe that quarantine would not last forever. We verbalized to faculty, staff, and students that programming was going to be a 3-year rollout. And I want you to understand why that was so vital for us to tell people that, to now start encouraging them that change is coming. It might take time, but join us in this process. By stating that, it actually allowed us the time to learn, to grow, and change in the process of trying to implement programming. At the very beginning, it was very important to us that we were consistent in our communications with each other and with our students. So we started out by, and I know everybody loves the word bylaws, that was the first thing we wanted to look at and scour and make sure we understood. We looked at our bylaws, we looked at our executive team position descriptions, and our elections. And those two right there, the executive team positions and the elections, I believe are what changed our entire trajectory of PTK at MCC for the rest of the time it's there. So bylaws, we didn't really touch. We just looked at them, we read them, we got familiar with them, and it was really good to review. A few big changes that we made to our executive team positions was that we added VP positions to support our 4 main campuses. Were we on campus? No. But we established those positions knowing that there was hope to be on campus again someday. And so we wrote up the position descriptions, and we had them ready for when the time comes. Have we had to implement them yet? Have we had the opportunity? No, but they're there and they are ready as a way to bring people to campuses face to face. My favorite change that my favorite thing that we added to our executive team positions was a position known as the PTK ambassador. What this position was and means to us is that it allows students who will be graduating or transferring out of the 2-year college before they could really participate and complete a full term on the executive team. We found that there were a lot of students that were interested in the executive team and helping with the larger projects, college projects, and honors in action, that we didn't want to slip through the cracks. So we created these positions and made it available for students to serve a shorter term before they graduated or transferred. I truly believe that was one of our biggest changes that we made that impacted our chapter engagement, because it showed each student that they mattered, and we would find a way to keep them engaged. We would create new things, new processes. We'd try new things because they mattered. So with that though came elections. We're here in August and we have no officer team. The team that was still as a part of, that was our current team, they were all burnt out. They were bitter. We asked them if they wanted to be a part of change, and they wanted nothing to do with it. So we hosted midterm elections with the understanding that a full term would be from January to January. So in August, Angie and 4 others were elected into positions of our executive team. 2 were not able to complete, but 3 of them finished the whole way with us. We continually told them, we don't know what we're doing, but we reassured them that we were asking the questions, that we were seeking out the right people, that we were not going to be okay with just being okay. And with that, their excitement got us excited. And that's where Angie played such a huge role. She knew how important her role as a student for the foundation of the changes we were making. She knew how important that role was. And she took it seriously, and she went from our VP of service to our president in January. So we had a new term, January to January. I don't know when your terms are. Ours used to be a November term to November, and projects are due in January. If you do the math, our school is only allowing students two-ish months to learn about the projects and then complete them by January. So we actually switched our election process, which I think again is a huge deal because now our students, instead of having 2 months, they have 12. So we now have a January to January term. And with that, it's not just me saying this, but the proof is in the numbers. We had 17 students apply in January to become a part of our new executive team, to become a part of what we were doing and the changes we were trying to make. We didn't keep all 17, we kept 14, but it still was proof that the changes that were being made and the excitement and the way that things were being communicated was things were positively changing. So to make all this happen, we utilized Zoom, our student engagement, obviously email, our student engagement portal, which I'm certain all of you have one. They don't always have the best reputation. Ours is known as MyHub, and we used YouTube. And that came as a result of the college project. So quickly with these changes, if you've been around, you know that there is the Golden Opportunity Scholarship in the spring and in the fall where you can nominate up to 3 students. We also have a scholarship for students that we budgeted for each quarter that we could give away a membership to, but it was not inclusive, it was not equitable, it was just kind of, I like you, so you get the membership. So we created a form and now anybody can apply, and it has increased our numbers of people who are reaching out to us, knowing that that's an option. And people are applying for that form, for that waiver. They don't get it, but the next quarter they apply again, which has also driven our chapter engagement, as getting people involved. Just knowing that that is an option for them makes them keep coming back. And then this is obvious, which I'm sure every single person on this call, we established our email drafts because there was nothing, the common things that you respond. The funniest one that I want to touch on, because it can be draining and it can be time consuming, is when students complain that it's a scam or stop bothering me, take me off your list, which it's really hard to maintain a list of angry email students. So we got clever with our responses to make it more fun and to take the burden of trying to manage 7,000 lists. So we just simply said that this is not a scam. You can check our YouTubes, we put all of our links, but we said it was a chapter initiative. If you would like to, I encourage you just to block me at this time if that would help. And so we never heard from those students again. And we just told them that it was okay to block us, which sounds silly, but it limited the number of negative responses and people that we would get when we're emailing 2,000 and you get the 15 scam students. So just have fun. That's it's okay to try new things. That's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, I mentioned we implemented virtual meetings and projects just like all of you, and Angie created reusable forms that could fill a library. She is just incredible. So that's just our changes in a nutshell. But this is where I think it's really funny. This is a sample of what our engagement platform looks like, cropped and put together just so it would fit on one slide. As you can see, it has a brief description up at the top, then a video Angie made, of course, on what PTK is and why students should join for MCC. There's a gallery with pictures from our induction, from fellowship nights, and the video that Blake referenced, the PTK celebrates 100 years, we promoted on our portal because I agree with Blake. It's just incredible to see what PTK has been a part of. And when I've had so many students say, I watched that video, that is so cool, I want to be a part of that. So again, just get creative with what you're saying to students, how you're communicating it, how you're showing how cool it is, because students are interested and they're listening. At the bottom, you'll see our events. Students can go there to look at the events, get the online link for the meeting, the details, and they can RSVP. The RSVP was huge for us. And then to the right was our news articles that our students just clung to and jumped on. Since August of last year to August 12th was the last one when I took this screenshot. Our students wrote over 49 news articles and counting in our portal, compared to all the other clubs and orgs that have maybe a total of 5. So it was really exciting to see the students want to share what they were doing and want to share what they, why it was worth coming to this portal to see what PTK at MCC was doing. I do want to say that our college has had this platform since 2015 and has always had trouble engaging students with it. I'm sure some of you can relate. As engaging students outside of the classroom at two-year colleges can be difficult. In my role as the community engagement specialist, I presented in over 30 classes one quarter, and not one student knew what MyHub was. So how pretty this is, right? And we think it's incredible. They didn't know what MyHub was or how to access it. So going into programming for PTK, we had to ask ourselves, would it be worth the risk to start using this now? Would it be worth the risk to start using it in a pandemic? And the answer is yes, it was. We just had to become more strategic with how we pointed students toward it, how we talked about it. Again, it's a lot about what is coming out of our mouths. If we're discouraged, our students are discouraged. If we have hope, our students have hope. So how were we talking about it? How did we use it? And ultimately, did it meet our students' needs? I will share a few more uses of MyHub. Angie will be talking about that as well. And then towards the end, I'll share a simple slide with data that I believe reinforces the success we had with implementing our online portal. So this we can get through pretty quick because I'm sure all of you can agree with the connections that we made. Zoom, we were allowed to hear somebody from Uzbekistan talk at Catalyst, and my neighboring state, Iowa, all at the same time. So I know all of you understand that. I though want to just stress, and Blake said it, you are not in this alone. If you are in this for the 30th year or the first year, you know, or you may not know, but PTK is one of the most incredible networks. Just even the student engagement staff that Blake introduced, to have that at our fingertips. They don't just say they want you to reach out, like they literally want you to reach out to them. And if you ask the wrong person, they're nice and they will direct you to the right person. So with that, we were able to invite 10 professionals from headquarters and our staff in 2 days to an orientation that students would have never had the opportunity to meet these individuals. I'm going to point out a couple. Susan Edwards came and talked about Honors in Action. That is a very intimidating project if you have never done it and if you don't know what you're doing. And for students who are in 2 year doing research. So Susan Edwards came and talked about that. Kristen Ware came and talked to our team about scholarships, which again, PTK scholarships is a whole new world than what I'm used to. We had our regional coordinator, Tammy Fuentes, come in and talk and share what PTK meant for our region. And then we had Paige Rakestraw come in from our division and talk about PTK at large. So if you're going into orientations and ways to train your team, keep in mind that they're there and they want to be present and they want to be a part of your trainings and anything that they can offer. We benefited a lot from it. Catalyst, we've never been to face-to-face, like Patty said. We have only done Zoom, but everybody raves about face-to-face, and I believe it. I mean, it sounds incredible. But we had to get creative to make it worthwhile this year for our team, and we used Microsoft Teams. No idea what was going to happen. Every session we had a who's there, like, come talk with us. And by the 5th session, as you can see in this picture, 148 replies were happening between 9 individuals. That would never have happened if we had to book hotel rooms and flights and all of that extra added stress and budget. So virtual actually made that more possible for our team. YouTube, I will go to that in the next picture. Angie's team started it. I'm going to let her kind of talk about why they started it and what it has now morphed into. But again, those 9 campuses, we were able to connect virtually. You can see a couple quotes. I'm not going to read them, but if you look through the PowerPoint again later, definitely take the time to see what students were saying about why virtual made a difference for their participation in PTK. And then fellowship is our favorite thing to talk about. We loved it. We laughed so much this last year. And I talked with Susan Edwards like 2 months ago and said, like, what does PTK think of fellowship? And she was explaining it to me from the scholarly side. And I was like, oh, well, we were playing heads up on virtual, and we were just laughing. But fellowship can be so vital. It was the life source to our team. It's what kept us excited and what kept us going. So we're going to go to the YouTube channel. Angie, if you want to just share a little bit real quick about that page, that would be wonderful.
Sure. So originally the team and I started the YouTube channel because, one, looking for anything PTK on YouTube is interesting. There's not very much out there. I actually started perusing YouTube when I was going to make my speech, just to I didn't know anything about PTK. I was running for office and was like, oh my God, maybe I can look on YouTube. And there wasn't a whole lot out there. So when it came time for a college project, we really wanted to be able to reach out to students and provide some tangible skills for them to help mitigate some of the stress of the pandemic. And one of the things that was close to many of us on the team was that some of us, myself included, didn't have a lot of adult skills, right? So you're kind of forced out into the world for whatever happenstance it is. You're going and starting your life, and you're going to school. I actually wrote down the National Center for Education Statistics classifies 74% of students as non-traditional. So many of us have dependents. We are living out on our own. And sometimes that happens quickly, like for myself. So there was little things that I just didn't know how to do. And I thought that would be such a great way. Well, we all thought that would be such a great way to mitigate some stress. So we started creating these fun videos about PTK in general, what was going on, beginning your college journey, note taking. One of the gals on our team did a little monster repairs, like what do you do if your child decides to flush tons of things down your toilet? Those of us that are parents, we've all scratched our head at something similar to that. So we had a really hilarious video on there showing how to fix those issues, how to get permanent marker off your sofa, things like that. So we really had a lot of fun with it, and it just kind of snowballed from there. We called it Adulting with Beta Pi Beta, and we ended up putting on, well, really everything on there, right, Lindsay? We did the next, terms officer videos because we couldn't meet in person. So their campaign speeches were on there. We did Awareness Week, which was totally each day. We had like this podcast type setup with a host and then an executive position, and they went into the pillars of PTK. So we really had a lot of fun with it. It was super accessible. Again, we put it on that beautiful portal that Lindsay was so kind to show us, MyHub. And so students could click on there, which was so great. From my perspective, being a non-traditional student, as many of us are in the pandemic, we just couldn't find out what was going on. In this, you could go on at any time, click on the link, see the video, and it just worked out really well. So I think I covered everything on there, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, that was brilliant. Thank you. And I might throw you under the bus again, but you know it's coming. So the next thing that we're going to focus on is just our fellowship and fun for the current and the curious. We called it that every month, and we invited everyone. It didn't matter if you were a prospective member, if you had a GPA of 1.4, or you were the president of our chapter. It was for anyone and everyone. I'm going to let Angie kind of talk about how it developed as their team and why they chose to do it certain ways. So you can hear the students' perspective. So it's not me saying, yeah, a Friday night works, because people always tell you that's not going to work. But we'll hear from Angie as to why they chose the things and how they ended up doing things.
So I think that Friday worked for our team because it was just like why Friday works for happy hour for many of us. We're done with work, we're done with school. My husband and I juggled, he cooked dinner that night, and it just worked. It was the pandemic, right? You couldn't go out for happy hour. And we started offering door prizes and gift cards. I was super excited to make one of the very first gift baskets that we did, which was so fun. And then we just delivered it to the winner's house. But instead of doing, we had no experience of what fellowship was, right? Like I was new and they were like, yeah, we do fellowship. And the first thing that came to mind was, isn't that like a religious thing? And so we kind of just did what we wanted, and we just started converting board games that we would play at home virtually. And so you can see the beautiful picture of Lindsay with her infamous pencil nose game. And we just started playing. We would take turns. We found all kinds of free resources online, and it just worked out. We did offer some information at the beginning or the end, or we would talk about it as it came up organically. What was going on with PTK? How could you join? And again, this was something that was for the current or the curious. And I believe it was included in Lindsay's mail merges that she did for all of the eligible students. So it was just so wonderful. Lots of people would come. Sometimes they'd pop in and be like, listen, I don't want to hang out with you guys. I just want to know, how do I do this? And that was fine. If we had to stop a game and say, okay, this is how it is, and then you can leave, it was much better than them feeling, like, oh, I'm stuck on this meeting and I have to talk to some people I don't know. Zoom can be awkward, particularly if you're new with it. And we had a lot of fun. We played games. Obviously, we played music to kind of push out some of that strange silence of all of us in our own spaces, staring at a bunch of little pictures. And then eventually we would do the PTK overview, like, hey, this is what's going on. We would do an icebreaker, like, where are you from? What's your favorite color? Anything. We would just be silly and come up with it as a team. The week before, we'd play a game and do a reflection period. And one of the things I personally liked was that we just kind of read the room. If we were really into a problem-solving game, YouTube has these really awesome ones where you listen to like a puzzle. They're almost like LSAT questions, and then you have to figure out how to get through it. If we were really into it, we just went with it and we skipped the icebreaker. So we went with that. And the reflection period was great, where we would talk about however we felt comfortable, what does this holiday mean to you? Or, all kinds of different things. So we got to know each other. We had some bonding, we had fun, and we got to learn a little bit about PTK. In the middle of the pandemic, it was absolutely priceless. It was a place for me to feel emotionally connected with other people, which was big. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. And so then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, I can't even go to Walmart. What am I going to do? So this was a place that I could interact with other people. We made lots of friends. We had tons of fun. And we had a Q&A at the end. I ended up developing a form, which could be given to any officer group, particularly for the VP of fellowship, and they can just fill it out. They work together, fill it out. It's an agenda now, and then they could share it to everybody. So we knew what we were doing. They had it all laid out, like these are the things that I had to plan. And that made it feel so much more fluid. Just getting rid of that strange interacting with people on Zoom happens when you have some planning and you just have fun. So I think that's pretty much it. I really think that if you're going virtual, this is the place to connect with students, and your imagination is the limit.
Thank you, Angie. I knew you would just do that justice. Yeah, if I'll go to my next slide, but I do want to say this. Patty told me that there is a good variety of people who are hybrid this fall, who are going to be virtual, 100% already virtual. And then there are some that are back face to face. I will tell you, this is like my last programming piece. We're not back yet full time, but looking into 30 years from now, this is one thing I would not change, because it brought people from all over our city at 6 o'clock on a Friday night together in a way that in person could not do. And I would keep our elections virtual, where you saw the officer candidate videos on that YouTube. There was over 100 views, and anybody could vote for our executive team. So those are the two big ones that I would keep virtual. There's a lot of ways you could change everything else into hybrid that I was talking about, or keep it virtual. But there's a lot of resources. We're continually learning. Nonprofits are now starting to offer service that is virtual, and there's just way more than what we had at the beginning of COVID. Our world is forever changed as a result of it, and there are actually a lot of good things that came out of it. So this is where I want to show you real fast numbers. If we're just talking numbers and data, our team, for our MyHub portal page that I showed you, we started in August. Our officers got trained and oriented end of August, beginning of September. So September 4th, 2019, our first fall quarter, 11-week quarter, till November 25th, 2019, we had 366 single sign-on, like single user sign-ons. In our first 11 weeks as a chapter, or as an advisor team and officer team, we had over 1,100 people come and view our page. What that tells me, and it continued into the winter and into the spring, that people it was still over 1,000 views. What that tells me is that students are hungry. They want to be a part of something. They want it to be intentional. They just need to hear about it, and it's how we communicate. So those numbers, when we pulled them, I was in tears at the impact and at the increase. I didn't, we were just doing our thing. I didn't think anything was happening, but those numbers just reassured us as an advising team to keep doing what we were doing and to keep moving forward. So the completion of our year, the completion of this PowerPoint, is that with all of that, we did gain 5-star status. If you look at your profile on PTK, it has the 5 little stars, and to see the 5th one light up yellow was one of the most exciting things for me. As an advisor, I would refresh that page a lot to see our recruitment numbers and just where we were with projects and everything. So we did it. We hit 5-star. We hit Reach Rewards. If you're not familiar with that, it's recruiting 15%. If we can do that in a pandemic, that means we can do it when we're back face to face, because we can still use our pandemic practices and things we learned. We had an increase in our number of fully completed scholarships that were submitted. Our recruitment numbers went up from 2019 to 2020. We received an award from our school for our site in the fall and in the spring, and I'm pretty sure we're going to receive it again this fall. PTK Hallmark Awards and recognitions, that was foreign to us. Like, where do you find the forms? How do you submit a nomination for somebody? And we did it just because we were trying to, do whatever we could. And as a result, we were recognized at Catalyst with 7 different EDGE completions. And that's advisors, officers, members. We had 2 international awards that we won as a first time team, and then 11 regional awards as well. So I just want to say anything is possible, especially when you're having fun, when you're being creative, when you're not stuck in the mindset that it has to be done one way and it can only be done this way for 30 years. That is the hardest thing to walk away from, is something that you've done successfully for 30 years and the world hits COVID, slaps you in the face with COVID, and you have no choice but to adapt and change. But it's exciting and it is possible. So that is all that we have for you. I think Patty said, well, we could answer a couple questions. We probably talked too long. I'm gonna blame Blake because his presentation was so good.
Okay. I know everybody's been praising you for your creativity and the ideas that you've been there, that you are giving them, right? And also there's a big need for the forms that you created for the scholarship opportunity, the waiver membership, and I said that you would share them too. So we're going to move on, Lindsay, if you don't mind, and then at the end we can open it up for more questions. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm good. I'm here till 6 Eastern time.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so I know everybody, we've been sitting for a while, so if you just want to stretch a little, Ryan and I are only going to take about 10 minutes to do our part, and because we've condensed a few things a little bit, so I think you'll we only have a few more things to go through, and then we're going to do the Blingaways, right, and a couple of announcements, and you'll definitely want to stick for them, and if you can't, we understand, you'll hear it on the recording. So let's go where, here we go. All right, so one of the things that Ryan and I started working on when we came on staff is, how are we going to get those 600 5-star chapters, right? And we all know, right, by following the 5-star chapter plan, that is that blueprint, that is that roadmap, that is that one thing that, chapter advisors and officers and members can look at and say, okay, this is how we do it, right? But sometimes when we look at the poster, or it's hanging in our office, and I know as a former advisor, students would come in and go, we have to do all that, like, oh my gosh. And it seems to be, no, I don't think we could do all this, or I don't know if I'm signing up for all this. And so what Ryan and I have worked together and decided that we're just going to focus on the parts of the 5-star chapter plan that are going to get you to 5-star. And that's the levels 4 and 5, about college project and honors in action, right? A lot of chapters might not even, like, they'll do the college project because they feel that that's a little easier than doing, both of them. But we believe wholeheartedly, with all of the resources that are there, and all the reasoning behind doing a college project and honors in action that benefits our membership and the college and the community, that if we just go in and follow this simple rule set, right? Set a goal, explore your opportunities, transform your communities. So we're just going to focus and give you the resources on those 3 things: on setting a chapter goal, on how to explore your opportunities for college project. They're wide and varied, and Phi Theta Kappa keeps all of that on the website, and you can tap into that using the 5-star plan. And then also something that Ryan and I really, really love and wish we had when we came on board as advisors many years ago, the activity guide for chapter leaders, right? Because that we're putting that with the 5-star plan. It just helps you. It gives you those activities. You might not be able to follow them to the key to the letter that is in the guide, but you can modify them or you can get ideas for them. And it's also really great to give them to your chapter officers and members, and they can come up with ideas on how do we brainstorm a focus question, or how do we brainstorm which theme we want to look at? How do we get started? It's all there, right? So let me go. So the first part, right, Brian?
Yes.
Go ahead. You do the first one.
The first part is the 5-star chapter plan. So for all of you who do not know and who are new, the 5-star plan is to organize your chapter's priorities so you can get them together, have a plan of action, and start making a difference right away. So with that, you're going to set a chapter goal. So we would all love you to set a 5-star goal. Well, I had a 10, but we want you to set a 5-star goal. 5-star goal. With that being done, that allows you, I mean, it sounds like a lot. Like Patty said, you get this poster and it sounds like it's a lot and it looks intimidating, but it's really not. Levels 1 through 3, bam, those are really easy to get done. What takes the work and you know, what seems to be hard, but the students really love it, is college project and honors in action. So remember, 5-star chapter plan is to set that goal. And what kind of goal are we going to set? 5-star. I was a cheerleader, so you know, I like to get responses back. So and that's the beginning of set, is to set that chapter goal. So next, Patty.
Yep, and we're not going to click all the links now because of time, but when you get this, you'll see links and it'll take you right to the page, right onto the website where you can find the resources, all pertaining to 5-star chapter plan, how to report your goal, how to check your progress, how to get, you know, what are some of the ideas that are out there, view former projects that are out there that can spur a conversation as well. So setting the goal is just like, sometimes it's the hardest thing to do because we just don't know how, but we're just telling you, set a 5-star goal, because we're going to be with you every step of the way. And as is everyone on the student engagement team, right? Just set the goal. We want to see a whole bunch of 5-star chapters with goals set today after this meeting. And so the next thing is just explore opportunities. You know, the college project, its goal is to strengthen the relationship between the chapter and the college administration, right? It can be anything that benefits the college. It could be something that mirrors or it speaks directly of the college's mission or the priorities that have been set by the college administration. Those are your college projects. A lot of times, you know, how many of us have done food pantries because that was a priority for the college? There's going to be lots of things. Last year, we've seen so many innovative college projects related to getting technology to students who didn't have that at home, and they needed to be on campus but couldn't be. So it can be anything, you know, and you're showing that relationship between, you know, the chapter and its members as leaders in fulfilling the mission of the college. So that's the importance of the college project. And then honors in action, right? That combines research, problem solving, and action-oriented service to address real world challenges in our communities, you know, what at the chapter level, at the community level, in your region and across the world. Honors in action, there's so much that can be done, and there's no, I like to say there's really no right or wrong way. All you have to do is open up the guide and get started, right? And be motivated by that and inspired by the guide, right? And again, tons of resources. So we want you to set the goal and then explore your options with College Project and Honors in Action. Look at past ones that have done this, especially with College Project and Honors in Action. And then Ryan, you want to do transform?
And then the last part of the set is transform communities. So how do we do this? We're learning. So it's the PTK's chapter's ability to learn. So you're out there learning, and then you take what you've learned and you apply that. So you act upon. So that's the action part of it. That learning has the capability to make lasting change on your college campuses, your communities, and potentially the world. So when we're saying transform communities, we're starting local and then going national and then going international. And our students are doing that. They're making and transforming the communities around them. So that is the third part of set, setting the goal.
And
Go
with
ahead.
this, Brian, right? When we focus our membership on transforming themselves and the communities, we take it away from just checking a box, right? And looking at that poster and checking them out. The purpose of this is to transform themselves and others. And also the other part about it is when they're eligible to start applying for scholarships, they want to have something to write about. These are the things that they want to write about, whether they're Phi Theta Kappa scholarships or they're transferring to a university or they're going into the workforce, right? They can say, I worked on a committee that helped bring a food pantry to my college, right? And this is how it does it. So the transformation part is stepping away from just checking off a box, but making really tangible things that they can get fired up about and really enjoy love. And especially, and that's the part where advisors go, and you see it, you see that one or two students when they transform and you see the power of what's going on. And that's what makes it, it's beyond checking off the boxes, right? We have all of these resources, levels 1, 2, and 3. You're talking about membership and engaging with your chapters as leaders. Regional involvement, we have 29 fantastic regions in Phi Theta Kappa and regional coordinators that can support you and help you get connected to the region with engagement. And then 4 and 5, college project and honors in action, everything. So many resources on ptk.org, the student engagement team, and you can always reach out to Ryan and I. You might get ready for your figure out what your college project, and you just want to bounce an idea. Email us, meet with us. We will work you through and we'll give you our feedback, and we'll maybe, give you some other resources that might help be more beneficial to you. So I'm just gonna stop at that point. And does anybody have any questions right now about college project or honors in action? I know went a little over. Okay. Good. So the goal is today, set a 5-star goal. If you need help finding out how to do that, let us know. We'll follow up and give you our email addresses in the chat so you can reach out to us. And we're here to support you every step of the way, We do have a couple of announcements that we wanted to make before we get going. Hold on a second. In case you didn't know, the website has been updated, right? If you haven't been on ptk.org, it looks phenomenal, right? It's new, it's got a new fresh face, and some of the links, if you received emails from Ryan and I or anybody that had links in them, some of them are a little broken, but they're getting aligned again. To spend some time on the website, I think you're gonna love it. I know the portals are gonna be updated as well for advisors. Talk a little bit about membership. August 31st is coming, so that's the deadline for the summer enrollment. If you haven't uploaded a file or need assistance in uploading a file, please let us know and we will get that assistance to you. And in case you did not know, there's a bonus challenge this summer. The top 5 chapters with the highest number of uploads will receive a swag bag at the end of summer. So if you haven't uploaded, there is still time, right? Even if 1 or 2 students want to become a member, upload that file. And the membership team also would like you to know that they are having a Back to Basics advisor session on Friday, August 20th, 9:30 to 10:45 Central Time. With Christopher Bingham, he's going to have such topics as uploads, chapter management, and recruiting. So if you need the information for that, let us know and we'll get you the link for that as well. I'm going to take a deep breath for a second. Scholar Dash, who's registered for Scholar Dash? PTK Scott 5K, yay, yay. That's in full swing now. We hope you'll join us for the second annual race to raise money for the Golden Opportunity Scholarship. Our goal is to raise $60,000 to cover membership for 1,000 in-need students. The PTK staff is going to race on September 25th, but you can choose your own date and time, and to be considered for prizes, you should be registered by September. To be considered for prizes, Scholar Dashes should be complete by September 25th. So if you need any other additional information regarding that, please let us know. And I'm not sure, I'm going to defer to Jennifer, Blake, or Ryan. Do we have any other announcements that we'd like to make?
No, I just was going to respond. I was typing in the chat. Somebody said they had a little issue with the advisor training. If you have that issue, if you just shoot me an email, blake.ellis@ptk.org, I'll connect you with our internet technology team and make sure that we get that fixed. But just thank you all for being here. Thank you for the time that you put in. It's such an unusual time, right? Because we're all kind of thinking, what will the semester look like? I bet all of you are apprehensive on some level about what your teaching load will look like, about, whether cases will, go down, all the things we're thinking about. But the work of student success continues, and it's really been incredible to hear what folks are doing and how we can respond to that at the chapter and college level. But like Patty said, we're here to support you, and I have nothing else on my end, Patty. Thanks for letting me come.
Okay, so Blake, don't go away. Jennifer, we're gonna need you too. Ryan, are you still on? I know she was having internet issues where she was. So Ryan, Blake, could you do me a favor and pick a number?
I'm back on, Patty.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're gonna do our blingaways. So we're gonna give out 5 today. So we're just gonna call out numbers, and whatever the numbers are, that it'll correspond with a name. So, and if they're here, they're here. If not, we'll get it to them. Okay. So Blake, pick a number between 1 and 136, but don't pick number 55.
Am I supposed to say it out loud or just have it in my head?
Just say it out loud.
Oh God, this is so much pressure. There's no way I can handle this. Okay, I'm gonna say 32.
32. So I don't know. Let's see if Barbara Demopoulos is still on with us. So we'll be sending you a little giveaway. I know she was on earlier.
I'm here.
Hey, Barbara.
I'm still here. Wait. Oh, here I am.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Go, Barbara.
Is Jennifer?
Barbara sent me a $20 bill to my house and told me to pick her number. So.
Awesome. Is Jennifer Stanford still on?
I'm still here.
All right, Jennifer, you pick a number between 1 and 136, but don't pick 55. I'll tell you later why you can't pick 55.
Okay. All right. Let's go 90.
90. I like that number. 90. Jill Dobson from Hawkeye Community College. I don't know if she's still on. Okay, we'll get that out to her.
I'm here.
All right, Ryan, you want to pick a number?
Yes, I'm gonna pick number 8.
Number 8 is Sandra Osborne, St. Louis Community College.
I'm
Woohoo.
here.
Yay! We'll get that out.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sandra!
Hey, I see Sandra. You say Sandra or Sandra?
I go by Sandra.
Hey, Sandra,
Thanks for asking.
congratulations.
My PTK hat back on. Yay.
Hey, Lindsay, pick a number for us.
3.
I'll talk to you when you're
All
done.
right. Lindsay Milburn, Beta Nu Omega Highland Community College.
Another Lindsay. Woohoo!
1, 2, 3. All right, Angie, your turn. Pick one. Last one.
47. Has that been chosen?
47. I like that number. 47, Julie Crockett, Hines Community College, Alpha Omicron Omega. So we'll get those goodies out. We'll do this every week. At the very end, we're gonna have a big advisor swag bag. So thank you. Thank you. We can stick around for questions if there are any. that you want to throw out there? If not, thank you for coming. Thank you, Lindsay and Angie. You did a wonderful job and you've inspired everybody. This is exactly what we needed to start our semester. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I don't know what to ask. That's funny.
Great job.
Good job. Bye.